Next is, so now like, I mean, we have seen some use cases, some general understanding of generative models. So LLMs has also become very famous, right? So LLM is a subset of generative AI. And LLMs are primarily developed to do some textual tasks, right? Language-related tasks. So for instance, let's say many of us has been using ChatGPT and all, right? So when we give some input to ChatGPT, we get some output, but what is happening internally, right? So let's see that, I mean, if I say, explain large language models to me like I'm 5 years old, right? So if I say this, then what happens inside the model, right? So the model, the first thing that happens is called tokenization, because the model, what it will do, it will try to break the, I mean, sentence into words or smaller tokens, right? So it breaks into like, explain large language models to me like I'm 5 years old, right? So it breaks into small tokens, but the model does not understand text. Model understand numbers, right? Computers understand numbers. So I need to convert this to numbers. So for that, there's something called as embeddings. So, I mean, through which we can convert the text to numbers, right? So these numbers, you can see some set of numbers are there to get representation of the words, like explain large, but these numbers should have meanings. It should not be just random numbers, right? So in a way that similar words should have similar numbers, and dissimilar words should have different numbers, right? So once these embeddings are done, then the next thing is called self-attention, right? So, I mean, we need to focus on what are the important parts of the text. Like when I said, explain large language models to me like I'm 5 years old, then there are two important things. One is the thing, large language models. Other thing is like I'm 5 years old, right? So these two are the important parts of the text on which the model should focus more. So that machine does through something called as self-attention. And internally, something called transformer. The transformer has something called self-attention, which helps the model to focus on important parts of the text. The next thing is, after focusing and all those things, next thing is to do prediction, right? So here, let's say, for example, I say, uh, imagine you have a super smart robot friend who read every, right? So intuitively, as humans, we know that the next word should be, suppose if I give you this word, book or bank, you'll definitely say book, right? So how the machine should be able to understand, right? So what the model does is, it has the vocabulary of words. It tries to see which word is has maximum probability or maximum likely, and then it predicts that word, right? So this is just one word that I'm predicting, but I can repeat this word by word prediction, and I can get the whole response, right? So here I till the end of the sentence. So here I said that, imagine you have a super smart robot friend who has read every book, story, and conversation ever written, right? So that's how it goes. Like first we do tokenization, then embedding, then transfer mechanism, then prediction, then response generation. Okay, so this is how internally the ChatGPT works at a broad level. So now we know that how ChatGPT works and all, but how we can talk to these models, right? In order to talk to these models, I told you that prompting techniques are there. So many prompting techniques are there. Zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting, chain of thought prompting. Many different kinds of prompting techniques have been developed, right? Okay, but there is one prompt structure that works best, right? So in practical set, one prompt structure that works most of the times, right? So what is that prompt structure? So let's say, for example, I want to email or for inviting for my workshop many of the people, right? So I want to invite them. So a good prompt has four things. Okay, so you see that there's something called as role or context, right? So role is that what is the role that the model has to play. Let's say, for example, it has to write an email, right? So for that, I'm saying that you are an experienced email copywriter who has worked in brands and has a lot of experience and all those things, right? So I'm giving them a role. Then the next thing is called task. Task is that what exactly I want the model to do. So here I'm saying that you need to write an email inviting people for my workshop. Yes. The next is called instruction. Instruction is that while writing the email, what are the instructions that it has to follow? Like, for example, you should begin with this, you should end with this. In the beginning, you should talk about these, all those things, right? And then we have some data. Let's say, for example, if I have some testimonials of other users, of other people attending my workshop in the past, right? So I can add those things, right, as a form of some additional data, right? So 4 things, if they are there, then you have a very good prompt, right? Context, task, instruction, and data. Okay, again, context is a role, task is what exactly is the task, instruction is what are the things it has to do while doing that task, data is some additional information. Okay, so now the thing is, I know that how a good prompt likes, but can I not use, I mean, if I write the prompt myself, it will take a lot of time. So in fact, what you can do, you can use GenAI model itself to write a good prompt. So let's say, for example, I'm saying an case like writing a personalized cold email, right? Personalized email I want to write. So now for that, what I'm doing is I'm taking the screenshot of this, and then I'm saying here to Gemini, let's say, that I want to write an email for my startup and for taking some funds from Uber, and they have been facing some issues in the cross-border transactions, and I can provide some solutions to that, right? So I'm saying that I have attached a prompt structure. Now your goal is to give me the prompt for this particular task in the exact structure that I've attached. Now what the model will do, the model now after entering it, it gives me the prompt. And now you see the prompt is so well written that even me, I can't write so well. Right? You see the role, right? The role is you are a highly analytical, persuasive venture capital pitch writer with deep expertise in this. So nicely they have written the role, the task, the instruction, right? And the data as well, right? And then what I need to do, I just need to copy this prompt and I'm giving it to another GenAI model called Claude, right? Claude does very good thing in writing tasks. So when I click on this, then you see it is giving me the email, very well written email, saying when Uber scaled to 60 countries, they didn't solve payments friction once, they solved it 60 times. In the sense that when Uber solved the problem, they had to do it every time for different countries, right? And then how this problem is solved by the startup, and then what we're asking for. And then you see at the end it is also added, are you available for 20-minute call next week, right? So nicely, I mean, persuasively it has written, right? So, so now you know at a high level how a model works and responds to instructions. Now, the next thing is there's so many models available, right? So, so by the way, you can guess how many models are there. So many models are coming up day by day, right? So how we can keep track of that and which model should I use, right? So let's say these models are there: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Meta, right? Many models are coming up from different companies. So can you, it's harder to guess how many models are there, but I'll just tell you the answer, right? So there is something called as Open Router, right? Maybe I'll just directly go there. Yeah, you can see 357 models are there, right? Text models. Now 29 image models. So many models are there, right? If you combine them, it will be more than 500, 600 like that, right? And I can also get some rankings. Let's say, for example, if you click on this rankings, you can see that this leaderboard is there. So what are the top 10 models, right? And this gets refreshed every week. Every week, this is getting refreshed, right? So you can see that there's a new model that came, H53, then DeepSeek, right? So these are top 10 models, right? And then you can see, for instance, programming, right? So either categories are there. So if I'm interested in, let's say, finance, so I click on finance. Now the ranking changes, right? So for the finance task, you see the DeepSeek B4 is a better model, right? Now in languages, you see suppose if I'm interested in Chinese or something, right? So now in Chinese, you can see this HY3 is a better model, right? Even programming, you see, if I'm interested in Python, so you see these are the top 10 models, right? So now I know what are the models, right? Now I know what are the models. Now the question is, so now I know what are the top 10 models and all those. Now the question is, which model should I use among these? So for that, there is something called as multi. Okay. So in multi, this is how the interface looks like. So what we can do here you can see compare models there. You can click on that. Now, so many models will be there. You can choose whichever is the model that you feel is good as per your liking, or as per the top 10 models recommended by Open Router, or based on your own past experience. Whatever is the model that you feel, the top 10 models, a few models that you would like to have, you can select those. And then you can, so here we have given the same prompt, right? And then we clicked on that. You see that here, I'm just showing you two responses, O3 Mini and Gemini 2.5 Flash. And then so I'm getting these two responses. Now, whichever I prefer, I can select that. Right? Everybody has its own preference. So whichever I prefer, the response that I like, I can select that. I can go ahead with that. Okay. So, but there exists one model that everybody needs to know, right? Which is the very most powerful model. For example, which is called reasoning models. Okay, so I'll just finish it in the few next minutes. So just bear with me. So reasoning models are becoming very, powerful, right? For example, this every company has its own reasoning model. O3 Mini, Gemini, and all those, right? So the key things are that they can solve a harder problem, right? And they can do more reasoning and give better responses, right? So let's play with one. Let's say, for example, I want to throw a party at my home or at my office, but I'm not sure whether the party should be good at my home or office. So I need to take that decision. I need to know the pros and cons for that. So what I'm doing, I'm using Gemini reasoning model. I'm saying that I need, let's say a weekend is there, I want to throw a party, but I don't know whether it should be at my home or at my office. And you need to see both the scenarios and give me the pros and cons for both of the scenarios. And at the end, you also give me the textual prompt that I can give it so that I can get the images for invitation. So here it gave me this, let's say option one, school reunion, right? So it says me the vibe, the pros and the cons, and the invitation image prompt. And here the option two, team mixture outing. Here again, it gives me the vibe, the pros and cons, and the image invitation, right? So now still I have not made sure. So I want the model to give me how visually the image looks like, the invitation looks like. So earlier, one needs to hire a graphic designer to do that, but now the AI model can do. So here I've just asked the model to do that. Right? So here I just used, image option here in Gemini. So it created this reunion, right? This image, and then team mixture, right? And for that, I have used something called as Gemini Nano Banana, right? And then the other free alternatives also, like say Grok or Leonardo.ai. And suppose if we are interested not in image, but in video, which nowadays people are giving video invites also. So for that, I just say that, okay, this is the image. Now you create me a video, and then I selected this video and say that how the video should start and end. And here, this is how the video will come. And then here I used something called as VO3, which is a video model, right? Okay.
Participants can post their questions, and then we can take
maybe, them. So this is already a PDF. Maybe I'll just directly go to that. Okay, so we were here, right? Okay. So this is the video, VO3. So now there's so many tools that are available, right? Gemini and all. So how do I know whether there exists a tool for my use case or not, right? So for that, there exists a website called There Is an AI for That. Okay. So you can go to the website and then you can type whatever is your problem and you want to see whether there exists a Gen AI model or not. You can click on that and it will tell you that how many Gen AI models are available for that. Okay. So if you want, maybe I'll just show you just simply. There is an AI for that. And I'll just say here something like a filmmaking or something, right? You see there are 91 AI tools for filmmaking. Okay. And there are so many tools, right? Okay. Okay. So, sorry. Yeah. So that's all. Okay. So today we talked about, I just summarized today, we talked about what is generative AI, and we talked about its use cases, some applications, and then we also talked about prompting technique, specifically a good prompt should have, rather than going to technical other things, what a good prompt should have, and then how to get that through GenAI models itself. And then if there's so many models are there, how many models are there? For that, we use something called as open router, and then we can compare the responses using multi, and then there are some reasoning models also. And then at the end, whether there exists a GenAI model for my use case or not, for that, one can use their existing AI for that.com. Yes. So, yeah, so that's all for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Gaurav, for the insightful presentations. We can move on to some questions. Um, so you showcased a lot of tools today, what people can experiment with, and I'm sure people have experimented with many other tools on their own. But then what really separates this experimentation from um, real business transformation, right? How do you move from these kind of small individual pilots or experiments to achieving real business transformation?
Right, right. That's a good question. So basically, using just merely AI tools is a kind of an experimentation, right? I mean, it's not something called transformation, right? So if you want to transform your business, right, just using directly AI tools won't be good enough. We need to redesign the workflows, right, or the operations, whatever business operations that we have. We need to, redesign it using AI, right? If we redesign using AI, then it can be a transformation, right? So real value comes from solving measurable uh, business problems, right? So whatever, suppose business problem is there, we need to focus on what is my business outcome, and then redesign the workflow, preferably using or do some system integration with AI and focus on the ROI part.
Yeah, and also probably have those measurable outcomes defined upfront rather than later trying to figure out whether this was successful or not, right, in terms of uh, project. Okay.
Yes.
Um, so if some organization is just getting started, right, what is the best first step forward towards enterprise AI adoption?
So the first thing is to start with a real business problem. Okay. I mean, not with the technology itself, in the sense that just for, first using technology is not the step. First is to identify the problem, which is a real business problem, and then uh, choose a measurable high impact use case, right? So we need to begin small, and then define the KPIs, and then ensure that the proper governance is there, right, or early on itself. So those would be the key first steps in enterprise AI adoption.
Okay. I mean, you basically prove uh, in a smaller use case, and then you can scale. Okay.
Right.
So there's a question from Mr. Rashid. In our organization, there's a lot that's happening in terms of AI implementation in order to improve efficiency, governance, data analysis, and dashboarding.
Mhm.
He's asking about the course. How is this course relevant for me, and what exactly will I learn? Maybe you can show our concluding slide.
Yeah, so maybe let me tell you more about that course. One sec. Is it visible? Okay, sorry, I think it may not be visible. Let me share my screen, I think. So right? So is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. So a very nice question. Actually, that is what our motivation was, right? I mean, through this course, which is, I mean, a part of, I mean, this is being launched through CEC, Continuing Center of Education at IIT Roorkee. Uh, so there are other courses also running as a part of CEC. However, those are more technical. I mean, hardcore technical and all, right? But this particular course is focused on business transformation. So we want to, as I told you, that we don't just want users to just do experiments, right? We don't want only few guys who are enthusiasts, they just use it for their own use case. We want the whole business to get transformed, how they can apply in their own pipelines and all, right? Or how they can control, I mean, make the workflow itself AI enabled, right? So for that, you see the primary things are, it's AI adoption focus. So we want where the, I mean, how you can properly use AI for your own use case, for your own workflows or decision making, right? So it will be more practical use case discovery where will, I mean, the learners will be able to identify how they can use it for forecasting or cost optimization. And then they can also be able to create AI-enabled workflow, right? I mean, we'll be talking about supply chains, sales, marketing, and support, and then it will be designed for basically the business leaders, like I mean, say the directors, the business heads, the VPs, and the core thing is that there is no fundamental requirement of coding, right? Even without knowing the coding, one can, how one should be applying AI to the business problems, right? Without doing the heavy programming and all, right? And then and the good part of this program is that we'll be supporting you post the program also, where uh, we can help you in refining the use cases and how you can apply at your work. And uh, we can also provide some business solutions where participants can have one AI solutions for their business at the end of the program, right? So it's more about from the perspective of business transformation with the focus on who are the leaders of business and marketing or business heads, primarily focusing on those individuals who wants to gain AI or want to adopt AI for their company use cases.
Okay. Thank you. Um, Hope that answers your question, Rashid. There's another one from Kumar Gaurav. Through this course, will this help to generate good prompts for my use to create workflow, etc.? Yeah.
So prompts, yes, definitely. So prompt is one key thing, which is the input to the Gen AI models. So we'll definitely be talking about how you can have a very good prompt for your use case. So today I just talked about a general prompting strategy, which should have a context, which should have a role, a context or role, or instruction and data, right? So these are the generic thing, but depending on the use cases, how I can have a very good prompting strategy so that I can get a uh, not just so I can get a very, I mean, genuine or maybe like a very relevant responses from the model, right? So that, I mean, we will be talking about all this.
Nikhil, this is slightly different. As a software engineer, how do I get into roles like developing new models for AI related tools? So this is more foundation.
So yeah, so it's more about development, right? You want to create a new model itself, right? So I mean, the best thing could be like these models, for example, Gemini and all, right? Or maybe like say Llama, right? So these are from the companies. So, or maybe if new variants are coming up, so they release documentation about it, or maybe instance, maybe papers. Either they, I mean, they publish paper on that, or they have a blog post or like that. So one should go through that in order to understand the architecture. If they want to be a developer and want to create their own architecture, so two things are there. One is that first you should be able to understand how to use it, right? Other thing is you should be able to understand how exactly that has been implemented, right? So this is specifically for developers, right? So one can, so they can, you can read about their architectures, right? And then while using it, if you feel that there are some problems at test time, then you can think of some fix-ups, right? And one, you can do some fine tuning also on those models. And also you can run it locally. Let's say, for example, this is something we'll talk about in the course also. Like many business people, they don't feel happy keeping, I mean, putting their data onto the cloud, right? Because in ChatGPT and all, they go to the cloud. We'll be more safe. I mean, it will be more happy to utilize the models locally, right? So how we can utilize, build applications locally and all. So those things also we'll talk about. And even developers can also use them and fine tune as per their need.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next one is from Mr. Chandra. How to explore the models that you were discussing about?
Yeah, so I just talked about one way is through Open Router. You can get to see what are the models that are coming. And also you can get to see the rankings. And this ranking is getting updated every week, right? So that gives you some idea, okay, these are some key models. But then it's not necessary that the first model that is there in the ranking is the one that I like. My liking can be different. So hence, you can select some models as per the rankings and all, and then you can then use multi to get outputs from them, and then based on the responses, you can select whichever you like.
Okay, I think we have time for one last question. This is from Mr. Parekh. Will there be a practical session or assignment where we actually identify business problems, identify KPIs, form a prompt, and make the solution work end to end from a business case perspective?
Yes, so use cases we'll be discussing about several use cases. In that, some working example will be given, right? And also I mean, at the end, we'll also be helping you with your own use case as well to give you some more insights about, I mean, after the program, we can help you with solving your own business problems as well.
Okay, I think one last one. Is AI only about prompts and responses? Would you be teaching us how LLM functions?
So AI is not just about prompts and responses. Okay, prompts is just a way to get responses and just a way to get insights into it. But the thing is, domain knowledge is very important. For example, whatever response I got it, based on that, when I submit my prompt, that, I mean, that requires your domain knowledge also. Let's say, for example, I'm building some marketing application or something. Let's say, right? So if I don't understand the technicals of the marketing or logistics and all, I won't be able to give a good prompt. Or even when I get the response, I won't be able to understand it properly so that I know what to ask for, right? Or what the model has said, I won't be able to comprehend it properly, right? So it goes hand in hand. Like you need to have some domain knowledge and you need to have some knowledge about how to use it. So when they are in synergy, then you're able to properly use generative AI models or effectively use generative models for your own use cases or for your own applications.
Okay. I think we are at time. Thank you so much, Dr. Gaurav, for sharing your insights with this community. And thank you all participants for making the session interactive by asking questions.